Greetings and welcome to this next installment of Bible Topics that make you say, And I'm Robin Sweet Ransom. Okay, we've talked about some really heavy topics, and now I want to switch it up and talk about the most important people on the face of the earth. And who might that be? Our moms. And I entitled this, Will the Real Mothers Please Stand Up? Look at these beautiful babies, all races, all colors, different ages. They just make you want to pick them up and hold them and kiss them, right? They're just so beautiful. Look at the babies. The hair just tickles me. Like they're like their hair is shocked to be on their head. Beautiful little babies. Just gorgeous, right? And so, who wouldn't want to be a mama to these beautiful babies? Will the real mothers please stand up? Beautiful moms and babies. And I like this. I chose this because it looks like she has a halo on her head with the baby sucking the thumb. Just a precious, precious, precious. My mother said when she was pregnant with me, she could feel me sucking my thumb in her womb. Like, really? All right, so happy Mother's Day to all of you who are blessed to be moms, whether you gave birth or whether you adopted. Bless you. This day is yours. And let's go back in time to hear a story about a mom. And this may be a story that's familiar to a lot of you, picking up in 1 Kings chapter 13. So then two women who were prostitutes came to the king and stood before him. I often forgot that they were prostitutes. One woman said, Please, my lord, this woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was in the house. On the third day after I gave birth, she also had a baby, and we were alone. So they were 3 days apart. No one else was with us in the house, just the two of us were there. During the night, this woman's son died because she lay on him. Or maybe it was crib death, and they didn't, of course, they didn't know that back then, but I don't know. We'll go with the story. She laid on him, which scary thing. I just can't imagine laying on my child. Normally, when you have your baby next to you, even when they're on they're on your chest sleeping, you're pretty conscious of what's going on, even when you're asleep. But I did have a cousin who did roll over on her baby and kill her baby while asleep, and she never recovered from that. And I believe she killed herself or overdosed, maybe not intending to kill herself, but that was the result. Picking up in verse 20, she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while your servant was asleep. She laid him at her breast and she put her dead son in my arms. The treachery. When I got up in the morning to nurse my son, I discovered he was dead. Wow. Can you imagine? That morning, though, when I looked closely at him, I realized that he was not my son at all. I didn't give birth to this baby. So now she's relieved that her baby isn't dead, but then where is her baby? And she kept emphasizing it was only the two of them in this house. Picking up in 22. No, the other woman said, my son is the living one. Your son is the dead one. The first woman said, no, your son is the dead one. My son is the living one. Stop tripping. Why are you doing this to me? We were friends. So they argued before the king. The king replied, and the king is Solomon. This is when he was known to be so wise. Right, one of the first acts he did when people just praised him. The king replied, this woman says, this is my son who is alive, and your son is dead. But that woman says, no, your son is dead, and my son is alive. The king continued, bring me a sword. So they brought the sword to the king. Solomon said, cut the living boy in two and give half to each one, and then they can go on their merry way. Since we can't decide who's the real mom, just cut the child in half. The woman whose son was alive spoke to the king because she felt great compassion for her son. Will the real mother stand up? My lord, give her the living baby, but please don't have him killed. But the other one said, He will not be mine or yours. Cut him in two. The king responded, give the living baby to the first woman and don't kill him. She is the mother. What amazing wisdom that he got from God. And he became a king very young. And God gave him the wisdom to be able to discern between the two. Now, do you really think discern between the two? Now, do you really think Solomon was going to cut that baby in half? Nah. But he knew that the real mother would not tolerate her baby, even the thought of her child being harmed. She would rather someone else take care of that baby than that baby be put to death. And of course, the woman who had no connection to this child didn't care what one way or the other. Her child was dead. So why not have this other one be dead? Misery loves company. We've heard that. And we don't know how long this went on, because figure today, it takes time to go through the courts and have your case heard. What if the baby was a few months older, even a year older, by the time this child got her baby back? I don't know. Just thought about that as I was speaking. But anyway, the real mother knew her baby and fought for him. Real mothers fight and sacrifice for their babies. The other mother made poor choices and dire consequences. So sadly, she fell asleep on her child. And I was reading somewhere this was not the start of the poor choices. Being a prostitute wasn't the best choice for either of them. And no doubt, just compounded making decisions that weren't the best and dire consequences result. Solomon's God-given wisdom provided a ghastly solution, but the real mother protected her baby and sacrificed her desire to be the mom for the betterment of her child. And there's some of you women who may have given your children up for adoption. The situation is not the same, but you loved your child so much that you felt like you couldn't give them the best. So you wanted them to be in the home of someone who could. And for those mothers who stood up to take on that responsibility, bless you for bringing those babies into your home and loving on them, whether they're a baby or whether they're a teenager. I have a cousin whose niece died, leaving two children, both with special needs. And she just adopted those babies. You know, they're actually, I think, 3 and 6 or 3 and 7. One has cerebral palsy and totally immobile, but she is a champ. Shout out to her. I always give her shouts. She's amazing. She's an amazing mom. The baby was restored to his real mother, whose love screamed volumes. And again, not all real mothers give birth, but they all love unconditionally. Wouldn't you agree? And I love this picture. Can a woman forget her nursing child that she should have no compassion on the son of her womb? Even these may forget, yet I will not forget you, God said in Isaiah 49:15. So happy Mother's Day, moms. I am blessed to be a mom, and my child is grown now. And I still remember cherishing her in my arms. And I'm so grateful that God gave me the gift of being able to give life. And we're all, those of us who are blessed to give life or take on the role of someone, take over the role for another mom. Bless you, bless you, bless you. All right. This will be the end of today's topic. Come back and we'll talk about, do we serve a three-headed God? What is this all about? Okay. So join me next time on Bible Topics That Make You Say,